Alright, so for our next topic, we're trying to find the solution. We'll find the solution of a given quadratic equation. So if you notice, we are now dealing with equation. The equation, as we all know, we should have an equal sign. So solution set is always written inside the curly braces, meaning we are trying to identify what will be the values of x, so that this expression, the left side, will be equal to 0. Okay, so that process is same thing as finding the roots, finding the zeros, finding the x-intercepts, and then finding the solution set. Okay, they mean the same thing. So when they ask you to find the solution set, you're actually finding the zeros or the roots or the x-intercepts. Now, what is x-intercepts again? Do you remember what are x-intercepts? You have a graph, and then let's say I have this. Where is my x-intercepts?
Where it touches the x.
Okay, where the graph touches the x-axis. Okay, so this will be your x-intercepts. Now, what will be the y value on this point? What do you think will be the y value here?
0.
That will be equal to 0. Okay, let's say this is 5, then it will be 5 comma 0. Now let's say this one. Let's say this is 1. What is this point? 1 comma.
0.
All right. If you notice, the y value is always equal to 0. So that's why when they ask you to find the roots, the zeros, the x-intercepts, or the solution set, it's actually the same process. It means that you want your y equal to 0. Okay? So here, if they gave you, let's say, f of x equals 4x squared minus 8x minus 12, it means that this f of x is your y. As we said last time, we can rewrite your f of x as like this. Y equals f of x. Okay? So if you're trying to solve for the solution, your y, or f of x, should be equal to 0. And that's why we have this. Okay? So replace your y or f of x by 0. After that, you just need to factor this one. Okay? So again, boils down on how to factor a given expression. So how are you going to factor this?
GCF.
Okay, we have GCF. Can you give me my GCF, please?
4.
All right, 4. What's inside the parentheses then? X squared minus 2x minus 3 equals 0. Now let's try to factor your negative 3. What are the factors of negative 3 that will give you a sum of negative 2?
1 and negative 3.
Oh, we only have 1 and 3. Very good. Now, since this is negative, one of this should be positive and one should be negative. Now check the middle term. This one is negative. Okay? It means that the bigger number should be negative. So 3 is a bigger number compared to 1. So you are going to let 3 be negative. Now, if this is positive, okay, then the bigger number will be positive. That's how we do it if the last term is negative. All right, so this will be my combination. We'll get 4, x plus 1, and then x minus 3. Okay? Now, the product of this 3 is equal to 0. So, remember that if we have a product, example is, let's say, x times y, and it is equal to 0. What do you think will be the value of x, or what will be the value of y? If the product is equal to 0. If one of them is 0, correct. Or if both of them will be 0. That's the only possibilities, right? Either x is 0, or y is 0, or both equal to 0. Okay? Same thing here. So I have a product, 4 times x plus 1 times x minus 3. Since the product is equal to 0, it means that either the 4 is 0, or either the x plus 1 is 0, or the x minus 3 is 0. These are the only possibilities. Now, do you think 4 can be equal to 0? Now this will never happen because 4 is 4, not 0. So we can just disregard this one. We don't need this. That's not going to happen. What about here? X plus 1 equals 0. When will this x plus 1 be equal to 0? If x is equal to what? Negative 1. How do I get my negative 1? You just want to isolate your x. So subtract 1 both sides. Okay. So this will cancel out. So 0 minus 1 will be equal to negative 1. What about here? What will be the value of x so that x minus 3 equals 0? 3. So you can just add 3 both sides and I say x equals 3. So we have this and we have this. So the solution will be written as negative 1 comma 3. Okay? It means that these are the values of x so that the left side will be equal to 0. So that's the meaning of finding the solution set, finding the roots, finding the zeros, or finding the x-intercepts. It will be the same process. Now, if you would like to check your work, so we said that these are your zeros, meaning if you replace your x by negative 1 or 3, the left side will be equal to 0. So let's try to plug in your negative 1 to your x. So I will have 4 x squared, so replace your x by negative 1 minus 8 times negative 1 minus 12. So when you solve it, it's actually equal to 0. Indeed, our x equals negative 1 is correct answer. You can also plug in your 3 to your x, and you will see that it's also equal to 0. Okay? So that's how we solve solution set. Okay? There are some cases wherein the problem will be like this. Find the zeros. Well, they already let the other side equal to 0. If you have this problem, you'll be able to find the zeros or the solution set or the x-intercepts a little bit quicker than the previous question, just like this. Why? Because they already gave us the factored expression. If you have the factored expression, you can just let the factors equal to 0. So if you have a problem like this, and I have a product, then you know that this will be 0 if this is 0, or if 5x plus 4 is 0. This will be the only possibilities. So it's easier, right? Because we just need to solve for x. So what do you think is my x here? So how do I isolate my x? You add 2 first. Okay, we'll get 3x equals 2. Okay, and then this one subtract 4. So what we have here, 5x equals negative 4. Oh, sorry, I'm not yet done. It's not my fault. So I need to solve my x. So divide by 3. So x is equal to 2/3. What about here? So we subtracted 4 both sides and then divide by 5. So x is equal to negative 4 over 5. So your solution set will be 2/3 and negative 4 over 5. Now, I hope you're not confused with the curly braces. Curly braces is used if the order is not important. You can rearrange this as negative 4 over 5 comma 2/3. Okay, compared to a parenthesis wherein the order is very important. Okay, so there we go. That's all that we need to do if we have factors given. Okay, if you have expression like this, you need to just factor the left side and then solve for your factors. All right, last one before we do the practice questions. If you have a graph and they want you to find the solution, we said that solution is the same thing as your x-intercepts. So can you identify your x-intercept? 0 and So x equals negative 2, x equals 0. There we go, we're done. This will be your solution set or your x-intercepts. Okay? So we have 3 different examples here. If they will give you the graph, this is how you get your solution. If they'll give you the factored form, just like this, then you will have, this is how you get your solution. If you have a quadratic equation like this, you factor this one first, and then try to solve for your x. Okay? Okay, so what if instead of quadratic equation, we just have a line? This is not a parabola. This is just a straight line. Okay, how do I know it's a straight line? It's because x is raised to 1. Okay, so you know it's a straight line. But if you have x raised to 2, then that will be a parabola. Okay, so how do I find the zeros or the solution set or the x-intercept of this line? Now we have here f of x. You can also have g sub x or any function here. The first step that you have to do is to replace f of x by y. Okay, and then your y will just be equal to 0. Again, y is 0 because your 0 is the same thing as your x-intercepts. And x-intercepts means your y is equal to 0. So that's why whenever we solve for zeros, x-intercepts, our solution, you want your y equal to 0. Now, our task is to solve for x. How can I undo the numbers here so that we can isolate our x? Okay, so we're dividing by 3, right? I have to remove my 3 first. Okay, so instead of dividing by 3, we have to multiply by 3. What is 3 times 0? Okay, 0. Then this will cancel out. We'll get 2x plus 1. So we have 2 more steps.
Minus 1.
Very good. Minus 1. 0 minus 1 is
Negative 1.
1 more step, and then we're done.
Divided by 2.
Okay. So your x is equal to negative 1/2. Or you can write your answer as negative 1/2. So we only have one solution or one x-intercept because we have a line. Remember, if you have a line, it will only touch the x-axis once. Okay? So this is an example that you could use to answer the 3 questions at the back of your homework. Find the value of x so that the right side will be equal to 0. Alright, so go ahead guys, find the solution set for this equation. Okay, so remember, we're trying to solve for the solution set. It means that you just want your y to be equal to 0. Okay, what will be the value of x so that this will be equal to 0? That's the meaning of solution set. Okay, or we're trying to find x-intercept, which is you want your y equal to 0 because that's how you solve for your x-intercept. So some of you multiply by 3. Okay, this will cancel out. What is 3 times 0? It's 0, correct? Okay, I'm solving for x. I don't need this one. So how do I get rid of this? You could, but why not just divide by 2? Just to remove it. Okay. We're almost done. So when you add 5 both sides, what do you get? So 5 equals 2x. Then divide by 2. Divide by 2, you'll get 5 over. If you will distribute this, you'll be able to get the same answer, 5 over 2. Because you're going to get 4x minus 10. Then add 10 both sides, then divide by 4. So 10 divided by 4, you get also 5 over 2. Okay? So that's the solution set, 5 over 2. Another